Hello, everybody. My name is GMFoxy, and welcome to my channel. So, I'm finally making a video after a very, very long time. Some of you who know me have probably seen my first attempts at making videos, which were me trying to figure out what I want to do with this channel. At first, it was gameplay videos where I played Minecraft and The Sims 4, but I realized that I don't really want to be a gaming channel. Of course, don't get me wrong, I'm still a hardcore gamer. However, art will always be the most important thing in my life. I believe I made one Speedpaint video, which was of very bad quality, and I admit I am not proud of it. And then I kind of abandoned the channel, and the latest video I did was 2 years ago, where I made a happy birthday animation for my best friend. And then a very silly video of me and my friends being idiots in Ark. Okay, enough of that, whatever it was. Let's get into the video and what's happening in it. This is a piece for the weekly challenge I have on my Discord. The theme for this week was pirates. Also, thank you, Cletus, for the suggestion. So I started this with an idea in my head of a beautiful woman staring off into a distance, with a ship in the background, but that she is actually on that ship. It's just from a different perspective. However, ideas in my head quite often clash with the skills that I have, so the piece didn't really turn out the way I wanted it to. But I'm still happy with it. And now you can see me struggling to draw that damn ship. Because genius me decided it's a good idea to draw it without any references. Which I quickly realized is not happening and went to look for a reference photo. References are important, people. Of course, it's not a realistic drawing of the ship, but you can tell it's a ship, right? Right? Okay. One quick thing I want to point out is that I tend to rush through my drawing. I rarely ever do a sketch and go way too fast into details, which usually trips me up. Because not having a proper plan, or in my case, a proper sketch to look at, makes it a bit harder to come out with a better piece. I lose quality and proportions and perspective, and then in some way, it just doesn't look correct and usually feels like it's missing something. I am trying to get rid of this very bad habit, even though it's really hard to get over myself. But when it comes to art styles, I wouldn't say I have a very strict one, or maybe I just have 10 different art styles. And for this piece, I decided to go with the style I like to call OP. No, it's not overpowered. It's an overpaint style where I don't really do much of a line art, and I get my shading done from the sketch, at least what I call a sketch. That way, after sketching it out, I don't need to work on my line art. I just go in with the colors and then try to figure out all the other things while I'm drawing. Of course, I don't leave it messy, or at least too messy where there's way too many random lines. But After being done with my base, I start laying in the flat colors under my sketch, which I do think is probably the easiest part in the whole drawing. You don't need to think too much, just pick a color you think is nice and go with it, and try to stay in the lines, or if it's too hard to stay in the lines, because select tool, select the place that you want to color and fill it in so you don't go over the lines. Pretty easy. So I chose to go with a red-haired woman surrounded by a turquoisey blue sea. It did take a while for me to figure out what I wanted to do with the background, just because I'm very, very bad at backgrounds. It's only because I never draw them, or the pieces I usually work on don't require me to do backgrounds. Hey, nobody is perfect, right? We can learn from mistakes. Yeah, speaking of mistakes, I already mentioned that this piece is for a weekly challenge, but I decided to challenge myself even more and use a different program that I have never, ever used before. I'm a Photoshop user, by the way. I really wanted to try out Krita since I heard so much about it, and it's cheap. I mean, it's literally for free. I thought, why not? Because Photoshop is on a very, very pricey side, I would say. And maybe if I learn how to use Krita, I could make a switch. Yeah, that's where the jokes should end. What I usually do when I finish laying in flat colors in Photoshop, I use a lot of clipping masks, but the shortcuts in Krita are not the same as in Photoshop. I tried to use the same one that I would always use, and it didn't work. It's okay, no panic. Let's try using a mouse and right-clicking on it. It's okay. And then a bunch of choices came out. And my small brain got a little overwhelmed. And small bit of panic kicked in. I guess when I was trying to click away, I accidentally clicked something and all my layers became invisible, except for the one that I had selected at that time. And let's just say all hell broke loose then. Because my heart was beating so fast, I thought I ruined the whole piece, that I might have to start all over again. And oh, yeah, I was panicking. But I calmed down, I stopped the recording and tried carefully reading through all the selections, trying to figure out what I pressed. I believe it took me about 20 to 30 minutes maybe to figure it out, but I fixed it. And I started recording again, and then I realized, wait, I still don't know how to make a clipping mask in Krita. So let's maybe not press anything and pause the recording. Time for YouTube. Let's figure this stuff out before I mess up something else again. And thank you, YouTube, for existing. I don't know what I would do. But now that I knew how to make clipping masks, I was finally able to start working on a bit more detailed shading before I can start an actual overpainting. The shading helps me see where the light is coming from and also reduces the amount of overpainting I have to do later, and it just helps me. I can lay down the reflections of her hair, for example, when the light hits them. Also where it would be darker because of the shadows. And when I finally finished laying down all the shadows and reflection spots, it was finally time to go into the very details of the piece. I think it's my favorite part, even though it sometimes gets tedious and nitpicky. I still love it. I love when you work on one spot, like you zoom in really closely and you try to make it as perfect as you can, and then you zoom out and you hide the layer and turn it back on, hide the layer, turn it back on. And then there's that big difference between what you did before and what you have now, and your piece just slowly is coming to life. Oh, I just love the process. But even with loving the process of overpainting, there was another problem I ran into while using Krita. And keep in mind also that this has nothing to do with the program. It's all about me being used to Photoshop and its shortcuts. So the problem I kept running into was the eyedropper tool for color picking. And when doing overpainting, color picking is quite important. In Photoshop, you need to hold Alt button and it turns your brush into a color picking tool. And when you release the button, it turns back into a brush and you can continue drawing. However, for Krita, the color picking tool's shortcut is the letter P. And well, let's just say how it is, okay? I'm a T-Rex and my hands are too short to reach over my drawing tablet to get to my keyboard and press the letter P. And if you're asking me why not change the shortcuts, well, I tried, and I don't know if I was doing something wrong, but it kept telling me that there needs to be a second button pressed together at the same time. And for me, it just wasn't comfortable at all, so I made a shortcut on my drawing tablet. It was working, but the whole process of using Photoshop is stuck so deep in my head that my hand just automatically kept going for the Alt button, which made my process a bit slower. And also the part that it doesn't switch back to a brush. I kept forgetting to pick a brush again. But other than that, the program is amazing. And I'm gonna repeat myself. The problems I ran into had nothing to do with the program itself. It was just me being way too used to Photoshop, and it was just me using Krita for the first time ever. I don't want you guys to think that Krita is not worth it. It is. It's an amazing program. I'm repeating myself again. All I can say is that this piece was really fun to work on. Even if you can clearly see that I really rushed the background, especially the water. I don't like how the water looks. I know it was rushed, but I still really enjoyed it. It actually reminded me of Atlas and role-playing as a pirate and how much fun it was. And I hope I get to do it again soon. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Don't forget to leave a like and a comment. If you would like to see more, I do stream on Twitch. Come and join me there. It's twitch.tv/IGMFoxy. I usually play games there and we do art from time to time. Recently, we've been working on emotes for my Discord channel. Speaking of Discord, you can join my Discord. We have weekly challenges. We have a theme set every week. You have a week to finish one drawing. Bye-bye!